don't know. I know that Wednesday is typically a walkthrough, so maybe there's some other stuff that he could be doing. But if he's not on the practice field today, then I think we got to kind of intensify and wonder whether or not he is going to be on the field on Sunday against the Lions.
It was curious when his practice window wasn't opened on Monday with the other guys on IR that were on injured or that opened their practice window. And so with that, it's like, okay, well, maybe he just shows up on Wednesday. Maybe Nico gets his own day. Well, he didn't show up on Wednesday on the practice field. So no own day for Nico unless it's today, Thursday, and he gets his own day. He's got to practice before he plays. I mean, I don't believe they're going to put him on the field without having him practice after he's been out for 4 weeks. Today feels like a day where if he doesn't practice today, Friday is not enough for him to get on the field for Sunday night. And they might be missing their best wide receiver and their second best offensive weapon. So I'm a little worried about the Nico Collins situation. I thought maybe I was overreacting earlier in the week when the practice window didn't open. But now it feels like I was properly reacting with him not practicing yesterday.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think today is obviously the day that we got to look at and see whether or not Nico is out there. I still pretty optimistic that that's going to be the case. But who knows? They definitely need him because the wide receiver depth is kind of a concern behind Tank Dell, especially with Stefon Diggs out. And I think he does make your offensive line better. How much better is a question.
He makes everything better. He makes the other wide receivers better. He makes the offensive line better. He made CJ Stroud better. He makes scramble drills better. He makes Joe Mixon better because you got to respect the Texans passing attack a little bit more. He makes everything better.
And he's got to be out there. I think I would think he would be, but
they can't beat the Lions without Nico Collins.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
They can't beat the Lions without Nico Collins.
DeMeco Ryans' word of the day yesterday was execute. DeMeco Ryans, when asked about the offense, we got to execute better. 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 We got to execute better.
You remember when a few years ago when Brian Kelly got asked about his team's execution and he messed up the famous quote from the old Buccaneers coach where it's like, what do you think about your team's execution? I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
The execution is a big buzzword for this offense. If they just execute, my goodness, they'll be the best offense in the world if they just execute.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing about DeMeco, for someone who doesn't listen to anything, he sure does have a lot of narratives. Maybe they're just mysterious or whatever. But he said that there's a narrative that they're not a good team.
Well, here, let's have the head coach explain himself.
All right, go ahead, coach.
We've talked about we've been in the games. We just, people. I guess it's this narrative we just not a good team, but we've been in games. We just haven't made the plays that, it's not from a matter of, effort and those things. It's a matter of being on the details, and that's what the league is about. The team who are on the details, especially in those critical moments. You talk about third down, red zone, that situational ball when you're on it and you're able to make those plays, that's winning football. Right, we've been on the back end of that. When we haven't won games, we haven't played well on third down, we haven't played well in the red zone, offensively and defensively. So when you win those situations, you put yourself in a good spot to win games. So when I talk about executing and playing well, it's executing in those critical moments is what we haven't done when we've lost games.
Yeah, okay. Well, they haven't executed well when they've won games either.
Well, they weren't in the Minnesota game. That's.
If you consider 21-7 in the third quarter in the game, when that's the first glimpse of your offense, that's in the game, I guess. But that's not in the game.
Well, and that sounds a lot like Lovie Smith, honestly. We were so close, and this many games by single digits and stuff. Yeah, most NFL games will be close. So I don't know, where does DeMeco get his narratives from? For someone who doesn't care about the noise and doesn't listen to it, and I don't pay attention to it. Where is this narrative coming from? Who's saying that the Texans aren't a good team? A great team. It was a good to great type of season, but who's saying that? Where is he hearing that?
They're very much a good team at times this year, and they have had good team performances. They've just been a really bad team a couple of different times, and good's not good enough. That's not what nobody expected them to be good this season. They expected great from this team. And even when we were talking about
really good.
Yeah. The expectation was more than good. That's the scary part about the conversations from DeMeco Ryans, and is it feels almost as if they believe they've done enough to this point. Like, first place in the AFC South. We're a good football team. Look at the good moments for the offensive line. Look at the good moments for Kenyon Green. We sometimes execute in key moments. Like, enough is never enough in the NFL. You always want more. You always want to be better. What's the constantly improving conversation? The cliche of if you're not getting 1% better, you're getting 1% worse. It feels very much like, hey, we've done enough here. Like, yeah, we could have done a little bit more, but we've done enough. Like, enough isn't satisfactory.
Yeah, I mean, this team is graded on a different scale. So, I mean, we'll see. They got plenty of time. They still got a bye week. They got to get in the playoffs. Who knows? CJ Stroud has the potential to flip the switch. It's not a lost cause. I just don't know what he's hearing to where there's a narrative that they're not a good team. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's like a straw man, mysterious. I don't know if that was his message to the team, because CJ said it as well, that we are a good football team. So maybe there's some sort of message there that he wants to like build up the confidence of the squad. And I don't think they should be walking around doom and gloom or anything like that. But the offense is concerning because, I mean, 2 weeks ago, DeMeco said they were doing the same thing over and over, and all bets were off when it came to the offensive line. And then it almost seems like we've seen them perform worse since he said that, and he's gotten softer on them, which it doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. I get it. Like, coaches speak, all that. I get it. Like, I understand it, but it's more so about what's actually happened, where he seemed to be a little bit more urgent about it, and now all of a sudden it almost feels like they're being treated like a C team that's a lost cause. That's what's confusing to me.
I wonder if he's taking Thursday and just and the conversation around Thursday, the loss to the Jets, and just trying to extrapolate it. Like, that's what everybody thinks of you guys, is what you did Thursday. We're better than that. Like, there is an element of appeal to, hey, look at this, like, appeal to the guys in the building. Hey, when it's looked good, it's looked like this. This is where we need to be. This is where we have been. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not a good team. They got a damn near elite defense. And yeah, there's a lot of question marks over on offense, but they've done enough to put themselves in the driver's position for a division championship. Now, again, most people expected more than a repeat as AFC South champions and see what happens in the playoffs. There were higher expectations. And expectations change, but I'm not ready to adjust where they need to go for it to be a successful season. That's not where I am. And that's not where they should be either.
No, and the switch can be flipped. I mean, as long as you do win your division, you have a shot. But there's stuff in front of you that's going to prevent you from doing that. The other thing that I think, and we've kind of had this observation, I think I've been mentioning this for the last couple of weeks, really since the Green Bay game, is it appeared that CJ Stroud, just his spirit, his natural charisma, his natural glow on the field had kind of decreased. And we saw him in Green Bay throw the helmet down. I think it was like the first or second quarter. It was actually pretty early in the game. And then the Jets game, you could just kind of see it. And it seemed like his spirit was kind of crushed. But that was kind of confirmed on Wednesday when CJ Stroud said that the key to this team performing better is having more fun.
Here was really just, getting back to having fun. I think there's a time where we were like, just looking around, seeing, guys being hurt, and kind of, I don't want to say feeling bad for ourselves, but, just like understanding that, we didn't have everybody that we needed. And we really just had to, lean on guys. And I feel like the short week was hard to do that, but now, we're back to having fun at practice and enjoying each other's company and, just understanding like, we got what we need. And we just got to play better and just execute better.
I noticed when he walked in for his presser, he was in a different mood than he had been in previous weeks at his press conference. And it felt like he was kind of, it didn't feel like the weight of the Houston Texans franchise was bearing down on his shoulders as much. Felt like he kind of was a little loose and having some fun. And look, when you're a quarterback as good as CJ Stroud, and you walk in and you tell me, yeah, you know what? Our mentality, our approach hasn't been right. Part of that approach is we got to have a little bit more fun. If CJ Stroud tells me that's how they fix it, I have no reason not to believe CJ Stroud. So if it's up to him to kind of get things going on the sidelines, keep guys dialed in. I mean, I think about one of the best plays of the season when he hits that Nico Collins pass and then CJ hits the arms cross pose. He's having a blast in that moment. There haven't been a lot of opportunities to have fun, but if CJ Stroud tells me, yeah, we fixed the mentality and that's going to fix part of the offense, I'm going to believe him. I'm going to believe him because if he's a superstar quarterback, he's got that type of ability and can change that offense from just a mentality standpoint. Oh, by the way, he's got to be a superstar with the ball in his hands, actual game day operation to make it work. So I believe him if he says this.
I have two things on this CJ thing, and then I want to circle back to DeMeco before we hear me asking CJ about when he saw the light as to when he wanted to have fun. Number one is it seems like it's kind of hard to have fun with the way this offensive line is blocking for him. So if he's able to do that and he thinks that's the key, I think it shows kind of accountability and not finger pointing. But it seems like it can be easier said than done if you're running for your life and all that. But it is a good mindset. The other thing, and I think there's kind of a human element to just the routine of NFL players. And last year they had the same routine up to the end of the season when they flexed week 18 to Saturday night, but it was all noon games up to then. So they were kind of in routine. And they kind of broke routine this week last week. And we talked about how it was a tough schedule because you have to go to New York. It's a Thursday, it's short, all that type of stuff. And it kind of sucks. But I do think there is some value for like the extended break. And I equate it to like in the real world. If you ever have worked like a manual job, and I've worked some like manual jobs when I was a kid, like in a warehouse or something like that. Or
you've done some outside jobs in the summer and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like if you're doing that, or let's say you have yard work. Let's say you have yard work and you have to do yard work or something like that. A lot of times, like if you say, all right, I'm going to stay 3-4 hours and I'm going to get all this work done so that I can have Saturday and Sunday off, or I don't have to come in early tomorrow. You do kind of get refreshed. Like you kind of go through the grind. It sucks. Like you're a little bit tired. You're more tired. But when you get those extra days or you get that extra day, you do kind of feel refreshed the next time you come in. So I do think there is some value for a team that is kind of grinding. It sucks that you have to play on Thursday, but getting to sit around for an extra few days and getting to wake up and not have to go to the stadium on a Sunday, and like you get the hard part out of the way. I do think, like, especially when you're like a spiritual, like insightful guy like CJ Stroud, I do think there's some value and there's like some self-reflection that you have an opportunity to do, as opposed to just going through the exact same routine that NFL players are used to. So on one hand, it sucks that you have to play Thursday night, but I think those extra few days, I think they're valuable. And based on what CJ says, it seems like he's kind of reflected on that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, and I hope that that's something that's permeated the rest of the team too, and not just the quarterback of this organization.
Let's hear CJ Stroud. I asked him like when he realized that he wanted to have more fun. Here was the quarterback of your Houston Texans.
Prayer, just really just spending time with God, and I think the 3 days off was very nice. To find time for your soul, your body, and your mental, So I believe that's where I kind of came from, and there's so many things going on in this world, and we're called to be light. It's an entertainment business, and we're called, to entertain, but you can also have fun while doing it. And I think that's something that as a team we can do better, is just have more fun celebrating and just being like you have a smile on your face right now, like you're having fun while doing your job. So we can do the same,
Yeah, you snitch. No, I'm just kidding. But nah, yeah, and I think it's kind of whether it's going to be put to play or not, and whether he's fighting an uphill battle. I think when you talk about the face of your franchise and the overseer of your franchise and the guy that you hope over the course of however long CJ Stroud's the quarterback, when things look bad, more times than not, if you have the ultimate success and the ultimate high level of success, it's going to be because he, no matter what, whether the guys are blocking, whether the receivers are there, no matter how defense is playing, like when you reach glory, it's going to be because of him. When he has that type of attitude and he's able to have that type of attitude, I think that's what makes a franchise quarterback a franchise quarterback. So do I think that this team is just going to go out there and have fun and all of a sudden all is going to be right? Nah, to go back to what DeMeco said, they're going to have to execute. But it is good to see that the face of the franchise and the leader of the franchise is not saying, well, I'm helpless out here and, but he's saying it's putting to practice, control what you can control. And that's what it feels like you get with CJ Stroud when he speaks.
I also wonder too if there's an element of if he's in a mood or he feels like he's beaten down or downtrodden or this offense isn't getting things done, if he's feeling that way, it's very easy for it to permeate throughout the rest of the team. And so if CJ Stroud, even, let's just use Sunday for an example, even in Sunday, hey, first couple of plays, maybe there's some pressure, but Stroud's still feeling like, all right, we got this. We're good. We're still the Houston Texans. We can still do what we want to do. I do wonder if that relaxes this offensive line and some of the rest of the pieces of the offense that probably since Green Bay have been really like tight, trying to be perfect, trying to, maybe do too much at various moments and spots. And maybe that kind of relaxes them a little bit. Like, hey, you guys can do this. You've kept me upright enough for, this game or that game where we had some big performances. Like, let's just kind of relax and do what we need to do here. So I do feel like that kind of drags the team into a different mentality, especially if the offensive line's been kind of over-focused on trying to get their job right in the past couple weeks.
Jacob says, CJ, they fixed the mentality ? Is the fix Kenyon Green hitting IR? Look, I know that there's some jokes there. I don't think it hurts. I really don't think it hurts. Like playing behind an unconfident guy who's clearly like unable to get the job done. I know he's injured right now. But I don't think it hurts. I think it solves all problems? No, I think your offensive line gets better with Kenyon Green off the field. And when you're watching someone struggle like that, and he's basically in control of keeping a 300-pound freak athlete to 260, whatever freak athlete off you, I think him not being there it won't hurt the cause. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some funny business going on with Kenyon Green. I don't know what's going on there. Ian Rappaport said he's out for the season, but the team hasn't put him on injured reserve yet. He's listed on the practice report as did not practice. Okay. But if he's out for the season, what's the deal here? So Rappaport, who is not wrong, says he's out for the season, but he's not out for the season yet. What's going on there?
Well, maybe that is the Nico Collins move.
Oh, they dump him on IR to have the spot for Nico?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
C Murder says Locked On Texans video Detroit guy name drop Landry 6'11".
Sounds like he's calling a play. Locked On Texans.
I don't even know what that means.
Be a Detroit guy. Name drop.
Oh, I think he's talking about Derry. I know the Locked On Detroit guy. I think he's talking about Derry.
Okay.
For sure. I think that might be what he's saying. I want to circle back to this DeMeco thing in a second. We'll get to what's going on with Slowick as well as the gathering that we got tomorrow that we're very excited about hosting with the people out in Edo at Big City Wings. So the DeMeco thing is interesting because right now DeMeco possesses a flawless record of after bad performances following it up with really good performances. So no matter what DeMeco does, no matter how DeMeco acts, no matter what DeMeco says, his actions and what we see on the field has kind of been backed up by his team responding and them performing at a high level. So we'll see how that continues with DeMeco. I do wonder, let's say they lose to Detroit. I do wonder what the message is then, as far as execution and stuff.
I mean, then the question should be, do we have the guys that can execute? Okay, if you're not making wholesale changes, if you're not making drastic changes, and you believe that all that this team needs to do is to execute, if you don't execute on Sunday, then you have to ask yourself the question as the Texans, do we have the right guys to execute? Are these guys capable of executing? If the solution is execution and you don't execute, then it's up to the players and their level of talent and the likelihood that they can execute. That's when you have to start having serious questions about the roster.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. And speaking of the roster, Bobby Slowick, offensive coordinator, he's going to speak today. What do we want to hear from old Bobby? I also have a notion. I think something needs to happen with this team, and I think it needs to happen perhaps as early as Sunday. I'm actually going to propose this. I think we got to make this happen. We'll get to that in a sec. But Bobby Slowick speaks today. What are we going to hear from old Bobby?
Damn it, Bobby.
I got to be better. I got to call better plays.
He'll give you a little more than
I got to put them in a better position to succeed.
He'll give you a little bit more than that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's going to be I mean, he's going to – I don't know that it's going to be like the full-on fall on the sword, but, you know, he'll be up there. He'll take some blame at the podium. Yeah.
The Bobby Slowick thing is interesting because
I do want to know from him. I do want to know from Slowick. CJ said some of it's his fault. Can you how much of it is his fault, and how do you work that out too? And how much of that is him trying to make up for other players' poor performances?
Well, Bobby's also facing basically the elite of the elite in his role too on Sunday. I mean, he's facing Ben Johnson, who's like the toast of the NFL, the next head coaching cycle, and he's been getting some attention the last couple of years. So, I know they're not on the field at the same time, and it's different matchups. But as far as an offensive coordinator aspiring to be a head coach, which we believe Bobby Slowick is, this is the creme de la creme over there in Detroit and Ben Johnson.
Well, and this past offseason, he needed a lot to get there, but you could see where he was going to be on maybe the Ben Johnson trajectory, where it's like, hey, maybe he passes up jobs that he doesn't like to stick around with the offense that's really good. Now nobody's talking about Bobby Slowick and Ben Johnson in the same vein. So there's definitely hey, that guy's really good, and you need to be really good too.
Yesterday on offensive line, I think we saw. I think Green was getting the first team guard reps. It appeared, right?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
You being secretive about that, or
nope?
I mean, I have eyes.
You're asking me the question. I'm answering the question.
Yeah, Green, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you have eyes, why are you asking me to confirm it?
Oh, because the people might not have known this.
Yeah, Kendrick Green.
Yeah, Kendrick Green, starting guard. Jared Patterson on standby.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they're very lucky about the Texans right now?
What's that?
So in the next couple of weeks, they're not going to face Dak Prescott, which Cooper Rush has won some games, but they're not going to face Dak Prescott, and they're not going to face Aiden Hutchinson. And Buffalo didn't have any of their receivers, so they're getting a couple of breaks with that. I know they don't have Diggs, but Aiden Hutchinson against Titus Howard just doesn't seem like an appealing, intriguing, fun experience.
That's an understatement
for me. So there you go. And I think he was on track towards being Defensive Player of the Year. If I'm not, I think there was a decent chance at that.
He was easily going to be Defensive Player of the Year.
So you don't have to face that. Get a little bit of a break with that.
I mean, he's still one of the highest pressure guys in all of football, even though he hasn't played in a few weeks.
Yep.
Hutchinson, that's how impressive his start to his season was.
Yep, he's been solid, and the Texans don't have to look at that. So we'll be looking for Nico Collins on the practice field. I would think that the Green move and the Nico Collins move are going to be connected. I would think once Nico's ready to go, then it's by Kenyon. Don't know, though. I can't know for certain. Bobby Slowick's going to attempt to explain himself. And then before we know it, Sunday night will arrive, and we'll be watching a little Sunday night football between the Lions and the Texans. I think the Jared Goff thing is interesting too, because that was kind of a comparison of CJ Stroud coming into the league. I know a lot of people roll their eyes at it, but that was kind of the comp, and just the up and down of Jared Goff has been fascinating. I mean, he was basically dumped to the Lions. Matthew Stafford goes and wins the Super Bowl, and Jared Goff's playing better than, I mean, as good as he has. And as efficient as he has. I think that up and down the roller coaster of the quarterback, I think he's a really, really good example of a guy where not necessarily a finished product, even, 5 years into your time. So I think it's interesting looking over there and seeing what they're doing with Goff and what they've done in the time since they've been kind of rebuilding as compared to the Texans, who are kind of probably a step behind the Lions right now, but trying to get where they're at.
Yeah, they've done a great job maximizing what he does well, keeping him from making mistakes. They protect him really well. I know there's been a hiccup here or there with their offensive line, but a lot of people consider that to be one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in football. And he's got a ton of guys to get the ball to. Really good tight ends, really good wide receiver, a couple of running backs. It's a novel idea to have two really good running backs, isn't it? So they do a good job there in Detroit.
Yeah,
and they're aggressive as hell. I love how aggressive they are.
I hate it. I think it's too much, but it works. And the thing is, Dan Campbell, I know he's technically an offensive coach. He doesn't really have to worry about it. He's got the guy calling the offense that he can trust. We don't know if we're there yet when it comes to the Texans, especially with Bobby Slowick. So
not only that, he's got the guy calling the defense too. Campbell's got his coordinator squared away.
We're familiar with his game around here.
Aaron Glenn doing a great job.
Aaron Glenn doing his thing.
Probably have a shot at a head coaching job here pretty soon.
Yeah, they could lose both their coordinators. Very, very possible.
That'd be a shame.
Well, could happen. We are going to be.
Hold on, you got one more thing you promised the people.
One more thing I promised the people, and then we'll tell you about where we're going to be tomorrow. So this is my proposal for the Texans. I think this is a no-brainer, honestly. I think this is just, this needs to happen. And I tweeted it yesterday. Might ask DeMeco about it tomorrow. We know Stefon Diggs was a valuable part of this team. We know that Stefon Diggs was voted captain by his teammates. We always heard about, how vocal he was and all that. Stefon Diggs is out for the season. And I don't know if Stefon Diggs is even going to be with the team that much for the remainder as he rehabs. The one person you always hear about, and a guy who was a captain at his previous destination, and the guy that you hear about is holding people accountable. CJ talked about it yesterday. You've heard DeMeco talk about it. Contagious has been Joe Mixon. So I think the Texans should put the C on Joe Mixon's jersey. That is my proposal. I think it's obvious that he has that type of impact. I think it's obvious that he's that important. He has the experience. With Stefon Diggs out, I think the Texans should make Joe Mixon a captain. So make it happen. Joe Mixon, team captain. Boom. Captain Joe. I like that. I think this is going to happen. I like that. It's a worthwhile adjustment. Remember, what was it? Was it last year that they had so many guys hurt early they had to add captains? Yes, Joe Mixon, captain. Let's make it happen. Captain Joe. I think DeMeco will be down with this. Who knows? Tomorrow, 4:00. Big City Wings. Big City Wings Edo over on Navigation. Come through, say hi. We normally do the live show at 4:00. We're still going to do that. This time we'll be there with all the wings, brew, all that, gatherings, all that. We'll try to figure out some stuff to bring to give away. It's going to be fun. Shout out to Sam for bringing us out there. Shout out to Big City Wings, the apps, all that. Get off work early. If you don't have to work, get your ass up there. It's going to be fun. We like mingling with the people, and it's a big weekend this week. You got the college pigskin on Saturday, and then you got the Texans versus Lions on Sunday night. It's going to be fun. Get y'all's ass up here. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a blast, and we're still going to be live here on YouTube. Like, the show's just originating from Big City Wings. I know there were some people like, well, you're not going to broadcast it? No, we're broadcasting the show from Big City Wings. So come out, watch it live. If you can't make it out, you can still watch it on YouTube. It'll be happy hour. So they've got a fantastic happy hour there at Big City Wings. Got great food. So come on out, hang out with us, mix and mingle with some fellow Texans fans, and it's going to be fun. We'll be there. Y'all be there too. Appreciate y'all for coming through. It'll be fun. I don't think you have to bring a sign. Matt Marr says he's H-Town bound. Get your ass over there tomorrow at 4, Matt. We'll see you. We'll see you there. Get out there. Appreciate y'all for coming through. We're about to head to practice. Always remember, when it comes to this Texans stuff, whether they're executing or having fun or not, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thank